If you think the backlash against Namita Thapar is unfair, you are actually missing the point. And if you think it is justified, you are still missing the point. Because this is bigger than that. And sometimes perception is as powerful as reality, and especially when it comes to India. I have realized that. I was watching the online reactions this week, support, criticism, trolling, all of it. I was feeling bad for her actually. And honestly, it didn't surprise me either. Because what surprised me, how unprepared we are as entrepreneurs. And I was surprised her reaction to the backlash was not apologetic at all. And that is what surprised me. I mean, she's a billionaire, she's an entrepreneur, she calls herself an extremely successful entrepreneur. So being apologetic doesn't harm. But so let me give you my take on this as an entrepreneur. What could it be different? And I'll give you a few examples from West and few examples what has happened. We will take all three of the examples which is going on in social media, especially in India, when we talk about whether Namita Thapar case or we talk about Tata Consulting Services BPO case in Nasik, where the sex offenders were found. And then we will also take the example of lenskart. All of these three we'll take in detail and we'll take a deep dive into it, and we'll see how it creates a new conversation, especially in the world of internet. I call it innovation versus accountability. Innovation versus accountability, where every founder sometimes ignoring the accountability piece, but it is very important. And accountability is not only towards your investors, towards your clients, but it's to everyone who follows you as a company. And that's where the social media comes into the picture. So I'll give you one example. This is the context I wanted to set it up, but I'll give you one example of 2004. There was a company called Merck. That company produced a very, very highly popular medicine called Vioxx in US, and that was a painkiller. Now, during the testing and everything, the U.S. Drug Administration has approved the medicine, and it became hugely scalable medicine, hugely popular medication. Everybody was taking it. Company made billions of dollars out of that medicine. But what happened over a period of time? Very quickly, they realized that medicine could cause a heart risk, and that is where the accountability came into the picture. When they saw that backlash is coming up, and at that time there was no social media, think about it. Still, company had a policy and they had a way to find where the backlash is coming. They started listening their clients, they started listening their patient feedback, and based on that, they themselves decided to withdraw that medicine. They did not have any lawfully enforcement to withdraw the medicine, but since the company realized the accountability by their own, they withdrew that medication out of the market, and it caused them huge backlash after that, because people were asking. For some it was working fine, but for some it was not working. So that is what the accountability does. If a company or entrepreneur themselves are accountable, they will take the positive feedback, positive criticism, and they will act upon it immediately. And that's what they did. Second example I'll give you about Barack Obama. When he became a president in 2009, 2008, that was the time, he was not probably that, astute or kind of experience in politics. So he made a very casual statement about a professor called Henry Louis Gates, who was actually found breaking his own doors. And he made a comment that, whatever the police was doing is not called for. And again, that one statement, he got a lot of backlash. And at that time, I think the online, all these Twitter and Facebook, it just started pouring in. So a lot of these people who didn't like his statement kind of started trolling him. And he immediately had to actually felt apologetic and take his statement back and said that, okay, whatever the law wants to do, let the law take its own course. So the reason I gave you these two examples, because sometimes our innovation or innovators ignore accountability in a short term, but in a long term, it always works. And I think if that one thing our Indian entrepreneurs learn very quickly, they can focus into not only fast delivery or fast speed of the innovation, but also the accountability part. Now let's talk about all three cases which just happened in India in last 1 month, because they are very important. And number one is lenskart. You all have heard the story, you all have heard the explanation Piyush Bansal gave, but my complaint is, even if there was something written in the internal document, who wrote it? Must be your employee, must be you, must be somebody who knows the company very well. Even if it is the slightest, minor, very small issue where it is mentioned about anything about the Hindu culture or Hindu Sanskriti, that you can't use bindi, you can't use tilak, you can't use the basic fundamental things which suppose a Brahman or a Hindu guy or a woman use it at home. It cannot be the policy of a company. So whoever wrote it must be their employee. It needed to be checked. Why did they fail to check their documents before it became public? And that is the accountability means. If they are entrepreneurs, they have HR leaders, they have management, they have a board, why did they fail to notice that at the very first time? And that is where the problem is. And I think that is where they are facing the backlash. So I hope you get the answer, and what you need to do, that when you have a public outrage, why you get a trigger that time. It should have been taken care of much in advance while these policies were in draft mode. Somebody should have noticed it, somebody should have fixed it, somebody should have understood it well, that what could be the consequences of that being ignorant. Second case, TCS. You know what they did. So they found regular sex offender and sex case which emerged. They shut down the unit, and everybody could not figure it out, who would respond, how it would respond. Company sent a very standard one-page explanation. That is not an accountability. Let me tell you, when a Tata name comes to my mind, it comes as a trust. The image of Mr. Tata comes in front of me. The image of the whole company, their brands come in front of me. So when I see that, and if I have to send my daughter, my sister, or somebody from my family as an employee to Tata Consulting Services, I feel safe, because I know it's a Tata, it's a big company, they would take care of their employee. So it was a huge communication issue, I think, which they could have fixed it if some of the top Tata leaders could come out publicly, openly apologize it, and could take care of this damage. But now the damage has been done. So an apology can sometimes do a magic which a huge amount of PR cannot do it, I can tell you. And that is the secret. And accountability is extremely important when it comes to these kind of massive backlash because of one single reason. So we talked about these two examples. Now the third one, which is most important at this moment, Namita Thapar, what went wrong with her, right? What went wrong with her? So we all knew what happened, so I'm not going to repeat all of that thing. It was just a sudden statement. She came off from her home, she was off to drive to her office maybe, and suddenly a thought arises in her mind, oh wait, how the heck somebody could call or abuse me and my family when I'm so powerful. And I can tell you, this is the thought which killed her image instantly, because that thought triggered that I should make a reel about it, because my reels have been very popular. Millions of people have been watching my reels. Well, those reels, they have been watching for different reasons, where you are preaching certain things which are dancing, singing, or your personal efforts to eradicate health issues using your MCure health thing. Now, since you talked about totally an off subject topic, which is your personal private celebration on Eid with your Muslim friends, and you are quoting a namaz, and you are making a scene or telling the world that namaz is healthier, which is totally off the script. And that caught all the bad intentions, all the bad, you call them bad, but it was like citizens. Some people feel positive about it, most people felt negative about it. So you basically hurt the sentiments of largely majority of the people online. And that came as a backlash on you. Now, one statement, think about it, if you would have immediately apologized as a being accountable citizen, next day, all the losses your investors had because of the share price fall would have been escaped. That would not have been done. And that is exactly my point, that when the leaders or entrepreneurs, if they feel accountable, not out of the law, not because the law says so, but because the public says so, the perception you build because of your statement, that is giving you signals. And that signal is very simple. Hey, apologize, forgive others, forget about it, move forward. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen even till today. It's been like more than 48 hours. So be ready to face that backlash, because India is going through something which is very transitional, and it's a massive transition from a developing country to a developed country. So, and unfortunately, India don't have enough law and order resources to fix these problems. So if entrepreneurs come out and they build some solutions or innovation around it, it would be good. If not, they have to be extremely cautious about what they say online, what they speak on their public channels, and what kind of topics they pick up, and especially when it comes to religion. I'm not going into the debate who is good, who is bad, it's for Hindu versus Muslims or whatever it is, but my take on this incident is very simple. If they would have taken care of the first pillar of innovation, which is accountability, that they would have avoided all of this. And that's why we say that accountability, innovation, response. So entrepreneurship is about innovation. But it's just not innovation. It brings responsibility. And when it brings responsibility, you have to be accountable. So all of those things go hand in hand. And it's not like who comes first, who comes later. Everything comes together. So I hope this video will help. I am making this video only for entrepreneurs, but people who wants to do something, create something, I think they should consider accountability as a major driver to be successful in future. So this is the only thing I will tell you in closing. Innovation gave you the power, but in today's time, accountability decides if you keep it. Think about these two companies were a publicly listed company. Their shares went down 5-6% in one day with one stake. People just don't buy your product. They buy your intent. People don't just buy your product, they buy your intent. And the real question is, if everything about your company become visible tomorrow, if you are vulnerable to the market, if everything about your company become visible tomorrow, would you be trusted? Would people trust you more or less? And that is the question, and that is what the accountability is. How you are going to handle it if it is less, or how your reaction would be even if they trust you more. So you have to be prepared for it today. Thank you.